When we play role-playing games, right, we get obsessed with our characters' powers. Their spells, their weapons, all those stats. But what if I told you that the most powerful tool you have is probably the one you ignore the most? And no, it's not a magic sword or some epic ability, it's your background. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds crazy, right? More important than your class? More than the thing that gives you all your cool abilities and combat moves? Absolutely yes. Because when it comes to how your character actually sees the world and solves problems, well, your background is everything. And this slide just perfectly breaks it down. See, your class is all about action. It's what you can do. A fighter swings a sword. A wizard casts a spell. It's pure capability. But your background, that's about who you are. It's your identity, your past experiences. And really getting that difference is the secret to unlocking some seriously deep role-playing. So, if this is so important, why do we get it wrong so often? Well, that brings us to what I like to call the forgotten trait. You know the drill. We've all seen it. Maybe we've all done it. You pick one of these awesome-sounding backgrounds. I mean, who doesn't want to be a mysterious acolyte or a slick criminal? So you write it on your character sheet, you grab those 2 little skill proficiencies, and then, poof, you pretty much forget it exists for the rest of the campaign. And that, right there, is the problem. It just becomes flavor text. A little ribbon on your character sheet you might mention once or twice, but this is a huge mistake, because your background isn't just flavor. It's supposed to be the engine that drives your entire character. Which leads us to the fix. We need to completely reframe how we think about this. Let's stop calling it a backstory and start thinking of it as a perspective engine. So what's a perspective engine? It's this idea that your past, being a soldier, a noble, a sailor, it actively shapes what you pay attention to right now, in the present. It's an assumption machine. It determines what you notice, what you think, and how you feel. And when you actually turn that engine on, the whole game just changes. And this is where the light bulb really goes on. We're so trained to focus on class that we ask these mechanical questions. What can my character do? What spells do they have? But the really powerful questions, the narrative ones, come from the background. What does my character notice that nobody else does? Based on where they come from, what feels totally normal to them, and what feels deeply, deeply wrong. All right, let's make this real. I'm going to walk you through an example I call same scene, different truths. We're going to drop a party into one situation and watch how this whole perspective engine thing makes the story so much richer. So here's our scene. It's a classic. The party's at some fancy estate and boom, there's a body in the garden. Now, sure, anyone in the party can try to investigate. Anyone can roll a check. But they absolutely should not all be seeing the same things. And check this out. This is how it plays out. The character from the City Watch, they're not just seeing a body, they're seeing a crime scene. They're looking at how the guards are positioned, who looks nervous, if the scene feels staged. The sealer, on the other hand, their senses are tuned to different things. The faint smell of river water, the specific kind of knots on a rope, the calluses on someone's hands. The noble, they're reading the room, picking up on all the social lies and political tension. And meanwhile, the sage is looking for patterns, symbols, the little inconsistencies in the story that everyone else missed. So you see, they are all standing in the exact same garden, looking at the same body, but they are uncovering completely different truths. Every single character is bringing a unique piece of the puzzle to the table, a piece that only their background could have given them. That's the perspective engine in action. So what's the big deal? Why does this matter so much? The payoff here is all about making the game feel real, making it immersive. Because think about it, when every character just sees the world in the exact same way, the world gets flat. It becomes mechanical. It's just a series of skill checks. Okay, I roll investigation. I got a 17. What does that even mean? The story loses its soul and just becomes a set of numbers to beat. But when you use backgrounds this way, man, the payoff for the players is huge. They start to feel truly unique. They feel needed, like, hey, I was the only one who noticed that specific knot. Suddenly, their choices matter. They aren't just a pile of stats. They're bringing something vital and irreplaceable to the group. And that is the heart of great role-playing. So I want you to try something. Stop thinking of backgrounds as just a backstory. Start thinking of them as lenses. They're the pair of glasses your character wears that filters all of reality. They're what determines if a situation feels safe or dangerous, suspicious or important. A former criminal is just not going to react to the city guard the same way a simple farmer does. And your game should absolutely feel that difference. So the next time you sit down to play, I want you to ask yourself this one simple question. Don't just ask, what can my character do? Ask yourself, what does my character notice that no one else here possibly could? I promise you, the answer will completely change your game.